Hello, everybody, and welcome to your Week 2 recap show and Week 3 preview show. We obviously have a very special guest tonight, none other than J.K. Thompson. Jamie is out in Indianapolis on a business conference. I'm not cheating on him, but we wanted to get a show out here this week. And so
Jamie was embarrassed to show his face.
Yep, he's very embarrassed, very embarrassed. JK, obviously I was there over Labor Day, but not everyone has had the pleasure of visiting you in Jonesboro. So why don't you give them a quick update on your life?
Well, I look forward to everyone having the pleasure to joining me here in the luxurious Jonesboro, Arkansas. Thankfully, everyone has been able to keep track of all the news coming out of the Red Wolves football program. Clearly, it's been a very exciting season, to say the least. A lot more to come. I, of course, am not informed of any of it, so I appreciate everyone letting me know on various forms of contact media. But it is good. Things are going well. Thanks for asking.
We all love contact media. Okay, so looking at Week 2, we have two teams that jumped out to a 2-0 start, Jed and Jake, and obviously two teams that fell to 0-2, Andy and Snoots. But your thoughts so far on the season?
Thoughts so far on the season is it's been a roller coaster. Obviously, Week 2 was just rough on pretty much everybody with injuries. Jed and Jake, however, were able to maintain from Week 1 to Week 2 a pretty consistent scoring level in the high 90s, 100s. Reflects in their record. Meanwhile, Ricky and Andy, I think they have overall decent squads. They've just had some tough luck. So.
Yeah, I agree. I think they'll both bounce back eventually. Actually, I think they both bounce back this week, but we'll get into that in a sec. So, first game, me versus Albert, Burgalicious versus the Bad Blue Boys. Both a little dinged up here with questionable marks, but riding the hot hand of Andrew Luck, the top scorer in fantasy football, I think I win this game pretty easily. What do you think?
I agree. It helps that Albert's wide receivers don't score any points.
Yes, that definitely helps. I hope AJ Green plays another 2 plays and then breaks his leg again. Or his toe, whatever the fuck you heard. But anyways, Chooch versus John Hart. Chooch made a trade for Brandon Marshall this week. John had to hit the waiver wire to pick up Kirk Cousins, so both teams look a little bit different, but still not great. I think Chooch wins this game. I'm going to predict a score here of 81 to 80.5. 81 to 80.5 will be the...
Throwing decimals in there. I agree. This is going to be the shittiest matchup of the week. I think Chooch takes it, although it largely depends on whether or not Brandon Marshall plays. That was a big trade for Chooch this week, so hopefully it pans out for him.
All right, then we got Kindergarten Cop versus Strip Club Casanovas. Andy, like I said, starting off 0-2, but I do like his team overall more than the Strip Club Casanovas. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers and Gronkowski are two players to be feared, but I do think Andy gets his first win this season. How about you?
I do agree. I think Andy does as well get his first win. I think his team is pretty solid top to bottom. Not to say that B-Mac's team is bad. He's got some good players on there that just haven't found their groove. Obviously, A-Rod has struggled as well as Gronkowski. As soon as they start to formulate, get better acquainted with their team, or I don't even know what it is, but whenever they find their stride, I think B-Mac will bounce back, but it's not going to be this week.
Yeah. They need to go to dinner together or something. All right, we got
precisely.
Versus Grimsley Bears. You already have 20 points from Julio Jones in the third quarter, and Bobby Rainey has 1.3 points so far in the third quarter for those of you keeping track at home. So, needless to say, you're already predicted to win pretty handily, and I think you're going to run away with it. How about you?
Yes.
Cool. All right. And then we got Rat Tails versus WrestleMania. Vince Jackson struggling so far this game, but I think it's going to be a pretty close matchup. I think both teams put up, 105, 110 or so. But I do think Snoots wins barely. Adrian Peterson out definitely hurts Jamie. I think Sanders will still have a good game. Welker's still getting back into the thing, back into it, but I do think Snoots wins this game.
I agree. I got Ricky in this matchup. Jamie's had some tough luck, to say the least. Benson Jackson, at this point, is rocking a solid goose egg. Of course, he could also have 5 catches for 2 touchdowns and 80 yards in the next 30 seconds is the way that he fluctuates. You never can tell. Ricky, on the other hand, I think he's going to be pretty consistent. His team is solid. I think he gets the win this week.
All right, then we got the former roommates at Richmond. We got Fighting Frog Swamps versus Ducktown Quackers. Matt Ryan starting off pretty well so far. And I do think Brendan has a better team, not by a lot, but a little bit better right now, this point in the season, than Rag does. So I'm going to take the Fighting Frog Swamps in this one.
I'm actually going to go the other way. I think obviously Rag makes a big trade this week, acquires Calvin Johnson, the top receiver in the NFL as far as I'm concerned. His 1-2 punch of Matt Forte and Frank Gore is pretty solid as far as running backs go in our league. And Phillip Rivers has looked pretty solid thus far in the season. Buffalo, they're looking like a pretty stout defense, but I think it'll be enough to overtake the Fighting Frog Swamps.
Stout defense. All right. And then we got Masturbation versus Fredericksburg Flying Macaques, or however you pronounce that.
At this point, you're never going to pronounce it right, so let's just –
yeah, I think Macaques is fun to say. So I think Jake has a slightly better team this week, at least. Obviously, Manning and Demaryius Thomas are pretty damn good, but playing Seattle's defense, I think Seattle wins that game. And obviously, Jake has Lynch and Harvin, so I think Seattle does pretty well. So I'm going to take Jake in this one.
Yeah, I am too, although, I would be interested to see whether or not Jed makes some roster adjustments. I do think there are some moves to be made. But all in all, I think that Jake's squad is a little bit better. This matchup's going to come down to that Denver-Seattle game. And the way those points fall, I think will ultimately decide the outcome of the particular Masturbation, Fredericksburg, Flying Macaques.
That'll be one good marquee matchup. All right, and then that's pretty much it. But I wanted to ask you any parting thoughts for everyone else in the league before we depart tonight.
It's this far in the season we've had a lot of injury. I would just like to encourage everyone to not get swept up in the name game. Just because someone has a great name doesn't mean they're a great fantasy player. So keep that in the back of your mind if you ever want to win.
True. Very, very true. Great advice. All right. Well, there you have it, folks. See you next week. Later.